welcome to the deep dive. You're likely here because, well, preparing for birth can feel huge, right?
Absolutely. It's not just the physical stuff.
Exactly. There's this whole emotional landscape, mindset, how your relationships might shift. Today, we're really going to dig into it.
We have a pretty comprehensive birth preparation guide to work from.
Yeah, and our mission today is to pull out those, really vital insights, the practical tools, the emotional ones, the relational stuff.
To help you feel genuinely more empowered for labor, delivery, and, well, everything that comes after.
It's so easy to get bogged down in checklists, isn't it?
Totally. So let's start with something foundational. The birth plan.
Okay.
Now, when people hear birth plan, sometimes they think it's like this rigid contract.
Right, set in stone.
But this guide frames it really nicely. It's not a contract, it's more of a flexible guide.
Okay, a guide. I like that framing.
Yeah, it's a way for you to explore what you prefer, communicate that, but also understand that, birth is unpredictable. It has its own flow.
Right, so it's about knowing your options and preferences, kind of empowering yourself that way, rather than setting yourself up for disappointment if plan A becomes, say, plan C.
Exactly. Flexibility is key.
So what are the core things to think about when putting this guide together? The source material breaks it down well. Pain relief, for starters.
Big one. Are you thinking epidural? Maybe nitrous oxide? Or perhaps an unmedicated approach? Or even, a mix, depending on how things go.
And it goes beyond just pain, right? What about fetal monitoring?
Yeah, that's another consideration. Do you prefer intermittent checks, which might allow you to move around more freely?
Okay.
Or would you feel more comfortable with continuous monitoring for closer surveillance?
Then there's mobility during labor itself.
Right. Do you picture yourself walking around, maybe using a tub or shower if that's an option? Water birth?
Exploring different positions.
Exactly. Finding positions that feel right for you.
And the delivery method itself. The guide encourages thinking about that too.
Yeah. While a vaginal birth is often the initial thought, it's smart to talk about possibilities like assisted delivery, maybe forceps or vacuum, and also understand your preferences if a C-section becomes necessary. It's about being informed.
And who do you want with you? Your support team.
Crucial. Your partner, a doula, maybe another family member or friend, thinking about who brings that calm, supportive energy.
We should probably clarify what a doula does exactly.
Good point. A doula is a trained professional providing continuous physical, emotional, and informational support before, during, and right after childbirth, different from medical staff.
Got it. Okay, and what about right after the baby arrives? Those first moments.
So important. The guide prompts you to think about immediate skin-to-skin contact. We'll talk more about the benefits soon.
Okay.
Delayed cord clamping is another one. Who gets to cut the cord if anyone wants to? How do you imagine starting breastfeeding if that's your plan?
It sounds like a lot to consider.
It is, but having these conversations beforehand can make you feel more, grounded, even when things feel intense.
Makes sense. And the key is sharing this plan, this guide, with your healthcare team, but holding on to that idea of flexibility.
Precisely. It's a conversation starter, not a demand list.
Okay, so this naturally leads into where you might give birth. The guide outlines the main options. Hospitals, birth centers, home birth.
Right. Hospitals generally have the most immediate access to emergency medical resources. They also tend to have higher rates of intervention, statistically speaking.
And birth centers.
Birth centers often offer a more, let's say, midwife-led holistic approach, usually focused on natural labor, fewer routine interventions. And then home birth, for low-risk pregnancies with the right professional support, offers that really personalized, comfortable environment.
So the big question the guide poses is, where do you feel safest? Where do you feel most empowered?
Exactly. It's a very personal decision.
Right, so once you've thought about the plan and the place,
Yeah.
knowing when labor actually starts, that's vital.
Definitely. The guide does a good job distinguishing true labor contractions from Braxton Hicks.
Ah, yes, the practice contractions.
Right. True labor contractions usually get into a rhythm. They become regular, closer together.
And stronger.
Yes, stronger over time. And moving around or resting doesn't typically make them stop.
Whereas Braxton Hicks are more random.
Yeah, irregular. They don't usually ramp up in intensity, and they might fade if you change activity or rest.
And the guide mentions the 5-1-1 rule.
It does. It's a common guideline, helpful for knowing when it's likely time to head to the hospital or birth center.
So contractions are about 5 minutes apart.
Lasting for about 1 minute each.
And this pattern has been going on for at least an hour.
Correct. 511. Of course, the guide also reminds you, if your water breaks, that's generally a sign to call your provider or head in, regardless of contractions.
Right, okay. Good distinction. Let's shift to practicalities then, the hospital bag. Always a hot topic.
Huh, yes. Endless lists online. The guide gives a solid checklist, though. For the birthing parent, ID, insurance card, your birth plan, a comfy robe, slippers, toiletries, definitely comfortable clothes for after the birth, some snacks, water bottle.
Don't forget the phone charger.
Absolutely crucial. And for the partner or support person.
The guide suggests similar things. Change of clothes, their own snacks, toiletries, maybe a pillow. It could be a long wait.
Good idea. And maybe something to do, a book, music, whatever helps pass the time or distract.
And for the baby, what are the real essentials?
A onesie, a going home outfit, a blanket, maybe a hat and mittens.
Okay.
And the big one, make sure that car seat is properly installed before you need it.
Oh, definitely. Don't want to be figuring that out on the way home.
Exactly. An interesting point the guide makes is that hospitals usually provide diapers and wipes initially.
Ah, good to know. So maybe don't overpack those.
Right. And the best tip, call your hospital or birth center ahead of time. Ask what they provide. It can save you lugging unnecessary stuff.
Smart. Okay, what about building that support team we mentioned earlier?
Yeah, deciding who you want there. Partner, family, friends,
Mhm.
or a doula like we discussed.
The guide emphasizes emotional safety, right? Calm energy.
Absolutely. You want people around you who make you feel supported and calm, not stressed.
And the doula's role, again, is that continuous support, physical comfort, emotional reassurance.
And information. They're there for you throughout the whole process.
Thinking ahead, being prepared for unexpected things seems important for peace of mind, too.
Definitely. The guide suggests having that hospital bag packed by around, say, 35 weeks.
Okay.
Not because you expect to go early, necessarily, but just so it's done. One less thing to worry about.
Like installing the car seat early.
Exactly. And having an emergency contact list handy. Choosing a pediatrician before the baby arrives. Little things that make a big difference later.
Okay. And relating to the delivery itself, the guide really highlights the golden hour.
Yes, that special time right after birth and the benefits of skin-to-skin contact.
What does the guide say about those benefits?
For the baby, it helps regulate their temperature, their heart rate. It encourages that early breastfeeding instinct. And of course, bonding.
And for the birthing parent?
It can be incredibly calming, grounding after the intensity of labor. A really connecting experience.
That sounds lovely. The guide suggests asking about it specifically.
Yeah, asking your care team if uninterrupted skin-to-skin is possible. And importantly, even asking if it's an option during or right after a C-section if that becomes the route. You can still often have that connection.
That's really empowering to know you can ask for that. Okay, so we've covered a lot of the practical and logistical side. Let's shift gears a bit to the emotional and mental prep for parenthood. This feels just as vital.
Oh, absolutely. If not more so in some ways. The guide really encourages honest reflection and communication with your partner.
Like talking about fears.
Yeah. What are you actually afraid of? Pain. Things going wrong. What are your hopes? For the birth, for recovery, for bonding.
And expectations. Sometimes those need checking.
Well, definitely. Getting clear on expectations for labor, for what recovery really looks like, for those early days with the baby.
That kind of self-awareness feels really powerful. The guide also talks about building emotional anchors. What does that mean?
Think of it like creating a personal toolkit, a what helps me list for when things feel tough.
So like specific things you know calm you down.
Exactly. Maybe it's certain music, positive affirmations you can repeat, needing a few minutes alone.
Okay.
And practicing calming techniques now, before you're in the thick of it, can build that resilience. Things like breathwork, visualization, maybe just keeping a gratitude journal.
Small practices that add up.
They really can.
Yeah.
And it's so important to normalize the mixed bag of emotions that come up.
Right. It's not always pure excitement.
Not at all. The guide is really reassuring about this. Feeling anxious, maybe even ambivalent sometimes, or just plain overwhelmed. That doesn't mean you're not ready or something's wrong.
It's okay to feel excited and scared.
Totally normal. It's a massive life change. Expecting complex feelings is, well, realistic.
That's comforting to hear. Okay, let's talk relationships. The arrival of a baby obviously changes the dynamic with a partner. You become co-parents.
A huge shift. The guide stresses talking beforehand about how you envision sharing responsibilities.
Practical stuff, like who does what.
Yeah, but also what kind of support does each person need? Is it physical help, like with night feeds? Is it emotional reassurance? Logistical help, like running errands.
Needs can be different.
Very different. And clear communication becomes absolutely essential.
How do you even start that conversation?
The guide prompts you to talk openly now about how you'll communicate needs later, especially when you're both tired and stressed.
Good point. Like, how do you handle feeling touched out? That comes up a lot.
Exactly. Or how do you ask for alone time without making the other person feel rejected or unsupported? Having some strategies in mind can help.
And intimacy. That's another area that changes.
Significantly, the guide offers a really healthy perspective here. Physical intimacy might be off the table for weeks, maybe months, and that's okay.
It's not the only kind of intimacy.
Not at all. The guide encourages focusing on what it calls intimacy of connection, holding hands, laughing together, just talking.
Maintaining that bond.
Yeah, protecting that bond is crucial. The guide mentions things like keeping your sense of humor, being vulnerable with each other, practicing patience, which you'll need.
Jeffy.
And those simple daily check-ins can be lifesavers. Just asking, hey, what do you need today? It shows you're still a team.
That seems manageable, even in the chaos.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, switching gears again, but still crucial red flags. Knowing when something isn't right.
Yes, super important, both during pregnancy and after birth, and for the baby too. The guide lists key pregnancy warning signs that need an immediate call to your provider.
Like what specifically?
Severe headaches that don't go away, vision changes, sudden swelling, especially in your hands or face,
Okay.
painful contractions before 37 weeks, a noticeable decrease in the baby's movement later in pregnancy, any vaginal bleeding, or if you think your water broke.
Those sound serious, like the headaches could be preeclampsia.
Exactly. Things you don't wait on, you call.
And postpartum red flags for the birthing parent.
Also critical to know, things like a fever, very heavy bleeding soaking more than a pad an hour.
Okay.
Foul-smelling discharge, chest pain, or trouble breathing, huge red flags.
And mental health signs.
Yes. Intense sadness, overwhelming rage, feeling detached from reality or your baby. Any thoughts of harming yourself or the baby, or even just a persistent lack of interest in yourself or the baby, all reasons to get help immediately.
And for the baby, what should parents watch for?
The guide points out things like poor feeding, a high fever, usually 100.4 Fahrenheit rectally, any sign of labored breathing, or that yellowish tint to the skin or eyes, which could be jaundice needing attention.
So bottom line, if you see any of these red flags in yourself or the baby, don't hesitate. Seek medical help right away.
Absolutely. Better safe than sorry, always.
Where can people turn for help? The guide lists resources, right?
It does. A really comprehensive list. Your OB/GYN or midwife, of course, your baby's pediatrician, lactation consultants for feeding issues, doulas, postpartum doulas for that in-home support, perinatal therapists who specialize in this period.
Support groups.
Yes, like Postpartum Support International, they have great resources. And the 988 crisis line is always there for immediate mental health support.
Good to know there's a network. The guide also mentions setting up a home recovery space.
Yeah, a little prep can make a big difference, like having a postpartum care station ready with pads, comfy underwear, pain relief.
Makes sense. Keep it handy.
Creating a little nursing or feeding corner with pillows, water, snacks close by, and maybe a basket with baby essentials near where they'll sleep. Just making things easier on yourself.
Small comforts that matter.
Okay.
What about mental health screening?
The guide really encourages being proactive, learning about perinatal anxiety and not just depression. They can look different.
Okay.
And it suggests taking the EPDS, the Edinburgh Postnatal Depression Scale. Your provider might do it routinely, but you can also ask for it. It's a tool to help track how you're feeling.
Good to be aware of. What about, like, real emergencies? Like super fast labor at home?
Yeah, the just-in-case scenarios. The guide includes quick tips for rapid labor or if you're alone, or if a planned home birth needs a hospital transfer.
Like, who do you call first?
Right. Usually 911 or emergency services, and then your midwife or doctor. And maybe having a small go bag ready even for a planned home birth, just in case.
Always good to have a backup plan. Lastly, support for the non-birthing partner. That often gets overlooked.
So true. They're going through a massive transition, too. Often while trying to be the main support, the guide reminds them to seek their own support.
From friends, family?
Yeah, talk to friends. Prioritize rest when possible, which is hard for everyone. Build their own support network.
And the guide suggests check-in questions the birthing partner can ask them.
Yes, which is lovely. Simple things like, how are you really doing? What do you need right now? What's been tougher than you expected? Acknowledging their experience matters.
That really fosters that team feeling. Okay, so to wrap this all up,
It feels like the core message is that birth isn't just a medical event.
Right. It's transformational. Mind, body, relationships, everything.
So preparing your mind, nurturing your partnership, knowing when and where to get help, that's just as crucial as, packing the diapers.
And the final advice from the guide.
Speak up. Stay curious. Ask for the support you need and deserve. Don't go it alone.
A truly comprehensive look, going way beyond just the basics. Thanks for digging into this with us.
My pleasure. Hopefully this deep dive leaves you feeling, well, more prepared and maybe a bit more confident for the incredible journey ahead.
And perhaps leaves you thinking about just how connected our physical, mental, and emotional selves truly are, especially during a time as profound as bringing a new life into the world.